Yes, all right. I apologize for a bit of background noise if you have, but I won't talk so much, so it won't be so disturbing for you. Good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on adapting the Barnahus concept to local realities. We are very happy to have you. And my name is Katarina Slavikovic. I am a ChildHub webinar coordinator, and I will be supporting two excellent speakers we will have today, Anna Pettersson and Gordana Bullen-Flander. But before you hear from them, I will give floor to Shona von Blixer, who is a project manager of the PROMISE project. However, before we go into what you're interested the most, just a few technical points for you to remind you. This webinar session will be recorded as it is our usual practice, and the recording will be available on the ChildHub website shortly after this session ends. So if you have colleagues who couldn't join live, but they would like to check it, let them know that the recording will be available. Also, I ask you to follow ChildHub webinar page for the upcoming webinars, because this is a webinar series, and we have more webinars planned on interesting topics related to Barnahus concept. Some technical points for you. Unfortunately, participants do not have an option to use microphone, which is why we strongly encourage you to use chat. Please ask any questions, share your experience, or share any comments that you have with us and presenters in the chat. I see that many of you are already writing. You can see chat now in the bottom right corner, but when we switch the layout, you will see it will be a bit bigger and a bit more easier for you to follow. We are looking forward to have an interesting exchange in chat. However, our presenters will also have a few polls for you. Please make sure to pay attention and to reply, because they are very much interested to hear also from you what you think about the questions they prepared. Once again, before I give floor to Shona, a quick reminder that this webinar today is organized by Child Protection Hub, a regional initiative including 8 Southeast European countries, aiming to produce and disseminate child rights and child protection related knowledge, and to provide platforms for experts in those fields to meet, share their experience, and discuss important points. This webinar is one of those opportunities for you to meet and exchange your experience. So we are looking forward to having you all today, your comments and questions, but as much as having the two wonderful presenters that we will hear from today. Now, without a further delay, I will invite Shona to give you a few details to introduce you to the PROMISE project and share more information about this. Thank you very much all once again for joining, and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Katarina, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shona von Blixen, and I work for the Council of the Baltic Sea States. We are an intergovernmental organization with 11 member states, plus the European Commission, or European Union. And the CBSS has quite a broad number of topics that it covers, one of which being children at risk. And within that work, we are the lead partner on the PROMISE project. This project is now in its second phase, and in this phase, we are implementing the Barnahus Quality Standards throughout Europe. If you were in our previous webinar with Bragi Gurpinsen, you will recognize this slide. The project vision is a Europe where the human rights of children to protection from violence, to support, and to be heard are fulfilled. And we're doing this through a number of activities. So we're ensuring commitment from key authorities by facilitating interagency dialogue. We're holding national roundtables and developing plans and roadmaps and interagency agreements and frameworks. And all of this work is happening on the national level. There's tailor-made training to Barnahus staff that's built into this project in a number of areas. We're on a more European level going to be developing a methodology to help Barnahus and child-friendly services to gather their views and their experiences on their experience in the Barnahus and also on the follow-up. And we also have a number of communication activities planned, this webinar series being one of them. And you can read more about the vision and the key principles, criteria, goals, and challenges that remain to be addressed on a broader level at the link on the screen. So why are we doing this webinar series, From Zero to Barnahus? Well, first of all, we want to maintain the European connection of the European Barnahus movement, which we launched in June 2017 as part of Promise 1. And also as part of Promise 1, we had an extensive series of exchange meetings and capacity building activities that unfortunately we were not able to invite everyone who was interested. But with this webinar series, it is an open invitation to take part in the conversations and the learnings from this project and also from Promise 2. You'll see a list on the screen there of the publications that were developed in Promise 1. We're implementing these publications in Promise 2, and they're free for you to use at the link on the screen. Final word, our project partners are here. If you're not yet connected with the partner in your country, then you can please get in contact with me, and I would be happy to help you out. We also are working with a number of wonderful experts who are kind enough to lend their time and energy to spread the word. And we are so grateful to have Anna and Gordana on this call today. And they are two of the experts from that list of experts. And without any further ado, I am launching this webinar and handing it over to Anna Pettersson from Barnahus Linköping. So Anna, you can turn on your video and audio now. Great.
So, I hope you see me and hear me, everyone. Hi, this is Anna from Sweden. So nice to be here on your web. I have a lot of slides going through, so the meeting or whatever. Or call me afterwards or mail afterwards. It will be fine. Okay. Barnahus Linköping started 2005. And there's a lot of Barnahus on 30 now. And it all looks here in Sweden, we have the
I'm sorry for interrupting. It's Katarina speaking.
We have multidisciplinary team.
Can you hear me?
Coordinating resources.
Sorry for interrupting. It's Katarina speaking. Can you just confirm that you can hear me?
Recently, we have started evidence-based model from the...
Hey Anna, this is Shauna speaking. Can you confirm that you can hear me? Because we're actually having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do you hear me now?
I think that's clearer, yes?
If I lean...
Yeah. That might be the answer, yes.
Do you hear me? I will tweet into the computer. Is that okay? Is it better?
That's better right there, yes.
It is, okay. I'll continue and then you just have to... Not really. Is it not that good?
Can you please try to move like a bit around, because 5 minutes ago it was very good. So if you
Yes.
can just
I'm sitting at the exact same place, Rina.
And do you know where your microphone is on the computer?
It's just where I had it before.
Now it's perfect.
It is perfect.
At least in my case. Others can confirm. Yes, I can see already some typing that now it works better. So.
Now good. stay there. I just stay here. Much better. Thanks. Is it okay?
I think so. I think we give it a shot.
I didn't know. I don't know what I did. I won't move now. Okay, just sit like this. Okay. Then I continue. This is the things we have in our that are included in our Barnahus. The crisis intervention I mentioned. It's something new we have started with this fall. It's model from USA, evidence-based. We have competence development, trauma-focused assessment on referral from the social services. And we have one treatment called combined parent-child cognitive behavioral therapy. It's for the physical abuse. And we have a lot of statistics and evaluations, of course. And to start with the standard one, it's about the key principles at Barnahus, and of course the very most important one is interest of the child. Someone says not hearing well, cannot hear clearly. Still better now. Mic down again. Can you help me, Sean or Katrina? It comes and goes. Okay.
The sound comes and goes, so maybe if you stay as close as possible to the microphone, that could help.
I'm just having it the same way as before. Is it okay now?
Now for me it works well. When we discuss the quality of the sound, it works well. But as soon as you start your presentation, we lose you.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The sound quality, it works well. But when you start talking about the presentation, when you start your presentation, then it's gone. So maybe now we try again.
Shall I try again? Okay.
Now it's
okay. I just keep leaning forward. Is this okay? I continue, and then you can. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, I'll try. I'm too close to the computer for my glasses, but I try to see what I need. Of course, the most important key principle is the child. And the way we have tried to ensure this is to always have in mind our routines, checklists, evaluations, and do that a lot. We are asking children, and we are asking parents, and we are asking social workers. We're also asking, as we call them, the safe persons, competence honors, teachers and preschool teachers. And then we come to the standard 1.2. The children's right to be heard and receive information. And the most obvious thing is here, of course, the forensic interview, and it's done by trained professionals. And we have the information leaflet that child can look at on their way to Barnahus. Mostly pictures in it and some text. We have follow-up meetings within a week with their parents and children, and we have made a special Barnahus book about the process. And that is, then you can talk with the children around this book after the interview, of course, not before. And we have after meetings after the interview, when we decide who is saying what to the child now and in a week or whatever. Then we have the 1.3, avoiding undue delay. It's an important thing as well. Here we have the interagency planning meetings. That you have to be well prepared when you come to them, because otherwise you can't decide the things you would like to decide. We have again the routines and evaluations, and we have the social workers observe the forensic interview, so they can immediately do their risk assessment And we have the prosecutors observing the forensic review, so they immediately give directions to the police, since they are the ones that are leading this preliminary investigation. And child gets interviewed before lunch, and the suspect in the afternoon, not here of course, but by the police station, on the police station. And we have the medical examinations, if they are going to take place. It takes here the same day as the interview, of course. And there are also some time limits in the laws and in our routines that guide us. We have crisis support, we can offer that immediately. And we also have information to preschools and schools, so they can tell them and emphasize the importance of reporting immediately when they get to know about these kind of matters. Can you hear me? Okay. A little question, I'm just curious, who's out there? Who are you? If you can hear me? I see some names I recognize. And I'm waiting for some answers. Or am I? Social workers? Yes, Judith from Budapest. Psychologist, lawyer, social worker. Teacher, that's nice. I'm happy to see that there are so many different kind of professionals you have out there, and then you are interested in this matter. Nice to see. Thank you so much. Many social workers, teachers, yes. Thanks. Hi everyone. Okay. So to the standard 2. It's about the multidisciplinary team, and here we have like the Barnahus team on place, 5 of us, but we think that all of the partners, they are all our colleagues. We're in this together. We're building this together, and beside us in the Barnahus team, there are 9 social services that are within our Barnahus, 9 municipalities, and it's about almost 100 social workers we cooperate with. And around these 9 municipalities is about 250,000 inhabitants. We have 4 prosecutors and the specialists working with severe crimes, very experienced people. We have like around 10 police officers from 2 districts. Some of them also work with crimes in relationships between adults. And we have the Child and Adolescent Medical Hospital, Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and Forensic Medicine, and we also have the Women's Clinic. And we all work from this interagency agreement, and it's signed by all partners, not only the ones that contribute economically. And Barnahus is paid for by the 9 municipalities and the healthcare, the Standard 3, our target group here in Linköping, and also it's most promising in the whole country here in Sweden. You see children 0 to 18 years old who are suspected of having been victims of physical abuse in close relationships and sexual abuse. And it also includes honor-related stress and violence and manipulation, because it's kind of included that group. We also have witness violence in close relationships, and also children who expose others to sexual. Very important to see them as well. And here the social services have the overall responsibility of all children and their well-being, and they work together with different experts when they need it. So traumatized children outside our target group get treatment within the child and adolescent psychiatry. So Barnahus here in Linköping, Sweden, is not mainly a treatment center. There are others doing that. And here in Linköping, we also have a special unit for children within our target group. And we're very lucky, they're very, very experienced in that group. And here the prosecutors, they have a low threshold according to the law, but they initiate a preliminary investigation. So it could, for example, be enough with one slap in the face. So that means many of our cases, they are not that severe, maybe. The fourth standard is about the environment. It's child-friendly. And our outdoor environment is like our house is in an area where it's a neutral house, and it's its own house. It's close to the hospital, so the police and the prosecutor's office, so it's easy for them to get here. And it's also easy for the public to get here by public transportation. The child-friendly, the surroundings around the house, they're green and nice and child-friendly. That's playground. Inside the house, we have separate waiting rooms. So just one child in each waiting room, often, unless there are siblings over, so then they can sit together. And it's very important to ensure the secrecy. So rooms can be used in a logistic way. The logistics there is very important here. And there are no contact between victims and participators unless they are in treatment together according to the best of the child. And then it's only about physical abuse, minor physical abuse. We have interview rooms and live observation rooms, and we have a variety of lot of different child-friendly materials. And our building is accessible for people with disabilities and special needs. And we try to think a lot about LGBT. And we have, for example, this painting in one of our rooms showing that family can look in different ways. And we can't really have the pride flag everywhere, but we have to think about things when we decorate the rooms and you know. Okay, next. I try to hurry up here because we lost some time about the volume there. Interagency case management is the fifth standard. For here we have weekly joint consultation meetings, and they're very important meetings for planning around the specific cases, specific children. And we in the Barnahus team, we have the meetings every week. We have a lot of documents describing procedures, routines, and our different roles. We have a working group, very important group. We meet once a month, and there you can address any kind of issue, big one and small ones, but small tiny details and bigger issues. And we have representatives from all partners there, so it's quite a group. And we have a lot of fun together, and we discuss a lot, and we can be angry with each other, but still it's a very important group. And we have a steering committee. I just met them before this meeting. They meet 4 or 5 times a year. Kind of the bosses in that group. Then we have the forensic interview, standard 6. Here, and as in all the Barnahus in Sweden, it's conducted at Barnahus, of course, by the police officers with special training, or at least someone that are employed by the police. They maybe not be a police officer, but they are employed by the police. And they use this certain protocol. It's kind of the same as they have in Huntsville, where the Barnahus idea comes from, and where they train a lot of people. Our police officers, they're trained at the police academy, but the one doing that have looked a lot and talked to got inspired from Huntsville. You know, they do it exactly the same way that they do that. It's about open questions, and you shouldn't have no atomic dolls or other tools, because you want to start the child's imagination in any way. You want it to be neutral. Of course, you can write some things, or maybe use like smileys to express expressions. That's okay. The interviews are video recorded, because here in Sweden, children under age of 15 do not attend court, but you also videotape the ones over 15 just in case. And the perpetrators interview the same day, but not at Barnahus, by the police station. And their preparations before the interview for the policeman that they will hear the child can be as prepared as possible, and also a short meeting after, kind of follow up what we do next. And in the observation room, we have some people watching, the police colleague, prosecutor, Barnahus team, social worker, special representative for the child, like the lawyer. And we have a checklist to clarify our roles in that room, what we're doing there, and for what reasons. Because we are there for different reasons, and with different roles. And mainly because we don't want the child to have to repeat the story over and over again. I guess you know about this. Medical examinations. We have a room here, and the doctors, the physician, and the first here to examine the room here. If we need space, of course we can't do it here. Then we have very close to hospital. The examinations are done the same day as the interview, after the interview, because you really want to hear what the child said in the interview before you examine it. And if needed, children can be remitted to in other units, of course. And doctors and medical staff, they attend these kind of these agency planning meetings before, mostly because we want their expertise on matters that might come up. And when there's acute cases, of course the safety comes first, and maybe also the medical examination comes first, and then there's a police report, and the Barnahus process begins. Always safety first, and then you start with Barnahus afterwards. Here we have a child protection team within the healthcare. You know, the healthcare is huge. Only the hospital is huge. And their aim is to spread knowledge about this target group and information about report if you see something and so on. Standard 8, welfare services at Barnahus Linköping, as I said, the main purpose is not to offer treatment. There are other units doing that. But here in Sweden, here in Linköping, we have like every child that has been here for an interview. We are inviting them and their parents to an information within a week, and then we can get a hint of what they need, and of course the social services get a hint of what they need. But some of them they don't need any crisis intervention or treatment. Some of them need that, and then they can get it from us at Barnahus, some treatment, or the child and adolescent psychiatry clinic, or within the social services. So it really depends on what kind of treatment they need or ask for. Capacity building is the 9th standard. This is a very big thing here at our Barnahus. We do a lot of this. It's very important. Within what we do towards our partners and others, but for example, we have an education for social workers that is about interviewing children about difficult matters. It's an ongoing education. They meet 6 times, and they are supposed to record some interview with children, and they get supervised according to this record, and so on. It's very popular, and we do it twice a year. We have lectures around different themes based on what needs there are for the moment. We have an annual Barnahus Day. Also, we have an education called the 3 Pillars Framework. It's created by Howard, and then you see a link there. I can find it in English information about that. It's about how you meet children with trauma. It's more for like teachers social workers, not necessarily like, it's not mainly for the therapists, more like for other people meeting these children. It's very, very appreciated. And we're part of the regional introduction program for all new social workers, so they can get to know about what we do. And we have also have short trauma assessment education for the social workers, so they can do some of this themselves. And we have counseling over the phone. And within Barnahus, our staff here, we have a lot of ongoing projects and trainings, and different partners have their own education, for example, the police. And we learn a lot from each other. And all of us have external supervision for ourselves. Barnahus have supervision, only us. Police have for themselves, social services, there's so many that have it. And the child nurse and psychiatry have it. So here it's very common to have external supervision. It's included in your job. Okay. So just about a little question here. What would you like? Since I'm talking about what we teach to others, it would be very interesting to see what you would like to learn more about, not necessarily from us, but in common. Forensic interview, yes. There's a lot of things. Nice. Young perpetrators, someone you asked, it's a very important and interesting issue. You can talk a lot about that. Very, very important. Yeah, and CBT is also a very big thing. We have it a lot. We have to try to get it to the social services so they can do it themselves. Yeah, how to talk with children about different issues. Yeah, we see that our social workers, they feel unsure, and you really want to hire their self-confidence also. And about forensic interviews, here in Sweden, forensic interviews is really, we have the police that are educated, it's like done in 3 steps at the academy. It's a big education, you say. It's not like a lecture one day. It's a very ongoing education they have. Okay, thanks a lot for your answer. So, the 10th standard is about prevention, information sharing, awareness raising, and external competition. This is also something we do a lot. It's so fun, and we do it a lot, and it's so important. This is some examples of what we do. We have information evenings for starting schools and preschools, mainly so they can identify the children in this target group. So it's very popular, and it's a lot. It's every school in these 9 municipalities, so you can really understand there's a lot of people. And we have some of the municipalities in the fall and some in the spring. We have a lot of study visits. We have counseling over the phone. And here in Sweden, we have a lot of other national actors, like the Barnahus Safety for Children, or what to say, that create different kind of information about this. It can be to the public, for example, by brochures, videos, helplines for the public and helplines for professionals. There's a lot of very, very good material out there. And they have a lot of material for the preschools with very nice drawings about sex abuse. So much good material. And here at Barnahus in Linköping, we create a lot of information to be used in our area. That means more about our things issues we deal with. We have a homepage, and I can see that the arrow is kind of moved a little bit. In our homepage, there is an interactive slideshow for children, and that's kind of a little example of it. And besides the partners that we of course cooperate with, we also cooperate with, for example, child and youth rehabilitation, the group that uses violence in social relationships for adults, women's children, the special legal representatives, the lawyers and children, adult psychiatry, and the knowledge center in Linköping around the target group, the National Knowledge Center called Barnahus. And preschools and schools are needed and asked for. We are very generous when people ask us to talk about this. Some final thoughts before I leave the word to Georgiana. I hope I haven't taken too much time. Just some final thoughts here. There are so many differences in the different countries. We know that it's about laws, just what is kind of in the atmosphere in the country, but somehow we can always find a way to start this multidisciplinary team. And these standards that have been created through PROMISE, they're very good to have as a frame. And you have to, of course, you can translate them kind of into your own possibilities and context. So, of course, you just can't check everything on this standard. We can't do that. No one can. At least you can have it as a frame to work from. It's very good to have. And if we compare our Barnahus to the one like in Zagreb, that I'm going to talk about, it differs a lot because here we have the special unit within the child and adolescent psychiatry that do their job instead, and we do other things. So it's difficult to kind of compare different centers also. And as I said, different Barnahus in Sweden open ways. And that's why we really would like here in Sweden to have some basic national criteria so that you have to meet and live up to for calling yourself a Barnahus. Because now Barnahus can be whatever. Okay? Thank you so much for me, and good luck with the job. And then now I leave the word to Georgiana. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Gordana. I am a clinical psychologist and integrative psychotherapist, full professor at the University of Zagreb, and court expert for abused and neglected children. I hope we can hear each other. I would like to see if you can hear me because we had the difficulties before. Yes, good, very well, great, great. Okay, I'm going to talk about Child and Youth Protection Center of Zagreb, and I'm going to talk how do we meet these 10 standards. When we are talking about our center, we were opened 15 years ago by the end of 2002. And it was the first institution specialized in working with traumatized children. Our key purpose was to provide help, and is to provide help and support to children who experience different traumatic events, and also children at risk of abuse, and also support and help for their families. In the last 15 years, around 17,000 children were assessed in our center. So we have 1,200 to 1,600 new patients per year, and plus more than 800 children in continuous treatment. So when we put it on daily basis, we have about 100 children per day. What is difference between other Barnahus models and our model is that we are within the healthcare system. It is for Croatia very important to be within healthcare system because in Croatia every child has health insurance. So each service, all services in our center are free of charge for our children. So I would like also to ask you, as a poll question, if you have opened or are planning to open such multidisciplinary and interagency service, in which sector is it, or in which sector it will be? For Croatia, I think that healthcare system was the best for the reasons I mentioned before, and I also think that trauma is a question of mental health. But of course, there is a lot of things also in judicial system. So I would be interested how is it in your country. I was also thinking about social services. I see here the answers in social services. I was also thinking about social services when we were opening this, but because of the budgeting, it was easier for us in healthcare system. Justice. Social services, most of you social services and health, and some of you healthcare. Yes, it's different in different countries. For Croatia, it was the most appropriate in healthcare system. Okay, thank you. Okay, when we come to standard 1, our primary consideration is the best interest of every child. And we are putting a lot of efforts in cooperating with the judicial system, with the police, to minimize or avoid re-traumatization of a child and to avoid undue delay. We are also putting a lot of efforts in respecting the child's rights to be heard. And that's why we established a year ago Children and Youth Boards, according to the Article 12 of Convention on the Rights of the Child, where we really include them in our decision making, and their voices are influencing the way we are working. You can see here Youth Board visiting our president and also sharing their experiences with the president of Croatia. Our multidisciplinary team is much bigger than team in Sweden. It is consisted of 13 psychologists, 4 psychiatrists, neuropediatrician, 2 social workers, 2 special educators, speech therapists, 6 nurses, and a jurist. We are also trying to cooperate with all these institutions that are mentioned here, not only through regular meetings and exchanging of information, but also through different trainings that we are conducting for them, because we strongly believe the more we know, the better we cooperate. This standard 3 is maybe the main difference between Barnahus model and our model, because our inclusive target group is all children who are victims and or witnesses of crime, involving all forms of violence, all forms of abuse, neglect and exploitation, but also children who are at risk of abuse, as well as their family members. So we can see here on this slide that common reasons for referral are suspected abuse and or neglect, then high conflict divorce, witnessing domestic violence. We also see that we are dealing with children with behavioral difficulties, with learning disabilities, children who are victims or who are victims of bullying, but also with bullies, children with developmental disabilities. And our special focus in last 4, 5, 6 years is on neglect and emotional abuse, which is much more difficult to recognize because it's often disregarded by professionals, as we say, neglect. Especially children of high conflict divorce at risk, we recognize them as the risk group for emotional abuse and emotional neglect. When we are speaking about referrals, most of our children are brought by their parents, almost half of them, and then 1/3 of them are referred by social services and then by kindergarten schools, police, and other institutions. When we come to Standard 4, we are really trying to make a child-friendly environment which is accessible and safe for children of all ages and developmental stages, including children with disabilities and with special needs. There is no contact between victims and alleged offender. We have separate entrances, although offender is rarely present in our center. We can see here our forensic room, which is different from therapy rooms. I'm looking at if you can hear me, and which is free of distractions and specially equipped with audio video link. And now, with help of our children from youth board, we are decorating a special corner for adolescents in our waiting rooms. When we come to interagency case management, we actually don't have formalized procedures and routines which are saying that other institutions are legally obliged to involve our center in their work. We have, on state levels, we have different protocols on child abuse, on family violence, on bullying, which everybody is obliged to follow. When we come to our meetings, our multidisciplinary team, we have everyday meetings where we are exchanging information and also deciding which agency we have to include for any child. And we are making joint decisions regarding assessments and treatments on these daily team meetings. Every child is a continuous case tracking. We have medical chart, which is documenting information gathered from other relevant institutions, some medical reports, social services. Our social worker is on everyday contact with the social services and other services and agencies. Services provided by other agencies, by us, and we have legal obligation to save the data for 10 years. And what we really like, we have a database. Every child is in our database with 380 information about that child, so we can really see what is population of in our center coming here and what is the progress in therapy. When we come to Standard 6 and forensic interview, we are conducting forensic interviews for different purposes. One is forensic interview within multidisciplinary assessment. Let's say when a parent brings a child to our institution with suspicions on child abuse, our psychologist or any other professional takes child immediately and immediately conducts forensic interview, and if there is suspicious on child abuse, immediately police is informed and the child stays in multidisciplinary assessment, but nobody is talking about the trauma again in this center. We are also conducting forensic evaluations at the order of the court as court experts. So we are conducting forensic interviews for assessing credibility of child's testimony in the cases of sexual abuse. Also in the case of child custody evaluations, where we are assessing parental competencies, and forensic evaluations of juvenile offenders. The third purpose where we are doing and conducting interview is when we are interviewing children on center's premises within court proceedings, criminal and misdemeanor courts. Some of your countries maybe don't have misdemeanor court. These are courts dealing with family violence. So we encourage judges to interview children on center's premises. Although in Croatia, every criminal court has a separate room in which mental health professional is the only person talking to a child. What we are trying to encourage judges to bring children here to our center, children who are small children, young children, children who are traumatized, children who are with special needs, with intellectual disabilities. This is one of a big challenge for us because only a few of criminal judges are willing to use this opportunity. Although it's free of charge, we are not asking any money for this. But misdemeanor courts, those judges dealing with family violence are regularly coming to our center. And also police sometimes also bring child in our center because they want us to do the interview and they are in another room. And they are also bringing to us often migrant children that we as experts can talk to them. So the whole procedure, of course, is audio and video recorded and can be used as an evidence in the court procedure. As a poll question, I would like to ask you what are your experiences, how willing are the judges in your country to go out of the courts and cooperate with such services? Because we find it here in Croatia as a big challenge, but also my experience is that it is also a big challenge in other countries. And I think we have a lot of job to do here. Not at all. Not at all. Rarely. Somewhat. No answer completely. No answer very much. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I was expecting such an answers, and I really think that we need a lot of public awareness and a lot of trainings and a lot of sharing information and training of judges. Here in Croatia, we did some trainings through Judicial Academy and we found it very, very useful. Thank you. Okay, Standard 7. We have a permanently employed neuropediatrician. So not external associates. From the very beginning, from the opening of our center, pediatrician is a regular member of our team who is responsible for medical evaluation and forensic medical evaluations focused on the child's somatic and neurodevelopmental status. And also she is participating in planning of the multidisciplinary assessment, treatment, and also engages in interagency collaboration. When we come to therapeutic services, we are offering a lot of services. First, support and access to information. We are offering crisis support interventions when needed, different forms of treatment, counseling, different forms of psychotherapy, speech-language therapy, and pharmacotherapy, and also follow-up after the treatment is finished. Our staff, each professional in our center is trained in TFCBT, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. Some of our professionals are Gestalt therapists, some are cognitive behavioral therapists, some psychoanalysts, play therapists, transactional analysis therapists, systemic therapy, educated in systemic therapy. Some of us are integrated therapists. So we have the possibility that the multidisciplinary team develops a treatment plan according to the individual needs of every child. A very important aspect of our work is working with non-abusive parents, because we know, working with children and from our trainings and from our experience, that support from a non-abusive parent is one of the most important predictors of child adjustment. And I would like to read this letter of a client of mine who very well illustrates how important is parent in our therapy and for the child. This is a letter of a child who, after 2 years after interview, withdrew her statement. And she says, I want to withdraw my statement because of my mom. They love each other, so I don't want him to go to jail. She called me 100 of times, asking me not to take her husband away from her. Now mom will be happy, and I will be happier for her. It's my fault that he behaves badly towards her. All of it happened, but my mom never believed me, nor did my teacher or anyone else I told. Often I can't sleep at night because my mom doesn't trust me. I feel like I don't have anyone. I want my mom to be happy, then she will love me. So it's very important for us to encourage non-abusive parents from being the non-abusive parent to being a supportive parent, and to help him to identify his protective role. I also want to mention that we have daily hospital last 2 years for very traumatized children. So they are here during the day and having different forms of therapy and having lunch here. And we really like this because we also have therapeutic dogs. We have 5 therapeutic dogs working with abused children and in speech therapy and in daily hospital. Standard 9 is talking about capacity building. So our staff is in continuous training by respected international experts. We had, I know that Iceland and maybe Sweden, I'm not sure, we had the same teacher, Linda Cordisco-Steele, on forensic interviewing. So we are using the same protocol. We also had trainings on therapy with sexually abused children, on trauma work, on trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. And in last couple of years, we had a lot of trainings on parental alienation as type of emotional abuse. And now we are preparing training in attachment-based family therapy. And we have also ongoing trainings by the staff, for the staff, and our professionals are encouraged to participate in training, international conferences, as well as postgraduate studies. It's financed by our center. Our staff is also involved in regular supervision twice per month by external supervisor, and it is mandatory participation, and we really think it's very important because working with the traumatized and abused children makes high risk of vicarious traumatization and burnout for us. Standard 10 is talking about prevention, information sharing, awareness raising, and external competence building. Many of our professionals are teaching on different universities, so we are educational basis, educational center for students of psychology, social work, education and rehabilitation sciences, teachers education, police academy, law. And we did a lot of national trainings in cooperation with relevant ministries for social services, for all schools in Croatia, law enforcement, judicial system, NGOs. We are hosting a lot of international study visits and doing a lot of regional and international trainings. And what we are proud of, that we are cooperating with media in a way that we perceive them as partners in protection of abused children, because they are very important in awareness raising. When you come to preventive activities, we do a lot of trainings and lectures and education in schools, kindergartens, health institutions, NGOs. And when we are talking about NGO, there is NGO Brave Phone, which is in our premises. Helpline, this is helpline for children, and there are many children who were opening and who were talking about child abuse, about their abuse first on this helpline. So then we are cooperating with them and taking child into therapy in our center. We did a lot of national research on child abuse and knowledge of pediatricians or dental doctors on child abuse and what are their needs in trainings and education. And publication activities are very important. We published 16 handbooks for parents, children and professionals, and about 500,000 copies are distributed free of charge for parents, children, and teachers. So I would like to finish with final thoughts that the idea is not just to transfer the standards in new settings, but to understand and have a wider picture of the local realities and possibilities, and then to implement the standards into a live entity of the child protection system. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordana, and thank you, Anna, for a very interesting presentation. It's Katarina speaking, so I would now ask everybody if you have any questions for the presenters, please write them in the chat. We already have 2 questions for you, Gordana. First, from Joseph, who asked basically what happened to the child who wrote this letter you read to us. Even if the complaint was withdrawn, he wonders if there is any action taken.
Yes, I have information what happened. Judge wanted me as a court expert to write, to assess the child and explain why the child withdrew the statement. And I explained why the child withdrew the statement, and the perpetrator was convicted.
Thank you very much. And the previous question was from Judith on the slide. When you were talking about the second standard, you had a photo, and there it was a big group and some dogs on the photo. And Judith was wondering if the dogs are part of the therapy as well, or they just appear to be in the picture.
They are therapeutic dogs, and they are our speech therapist is owning those 5 dogs. And all of them are hundreds of hours in their training to become therapeutic dogs. So she's using them in speech therapy, and our psychiatrists and psychologists are also using those dogs as therapeutic dogs in daily hospital with traumatized children. And sometimes I have those dogs during interviewing the child, sexually abused child, because we realize that it makes child more calmer and less anxious. So we find them very, very useful and of big help in our work.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have a question for our presenters? Please feel free to write in the chat. In the meantime, I will remind you that you can ask for certificates for this webinar on our email. Here, so please feel free to write and request a certificate for the webinar. We are looking forward to other questions.
Jurid has a question.
We can ask you.
She wrote, on what grounds are children given treatment in Linköping Barnahus, and when in the municipality? So Anna, if you're still there, come on back.
Okay, I'm still here. Do you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think one of the keys for you is to speak slowly. When you start speaking faster is when the sound...
Okay. When do the children get treatment here, and when at municipality? Nothing. Well, it depends on the matter and what kind of treatment. We have this combined parent-child DBT here. I'm sorry, it was my cleaner coming in. No, yeah, I'm sorry. But mainly the children either come here or to the psychiatry. When it comes to municipalities, they have great possibilities to home the families and do their job in their own homes, and that sometimes is very needed. More like hands-on how to help. in the everyday work? Is that some of the answers, one answer to the question? Okay.
All right, if you don't have any further questions, Shana, would you like a few words at the end?
Yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us and for Gordana and Anna for their generous contribution to this webinar. And I wanted to remind you that you can subscribe to the PROMISE newsletter, where you'll find informative information about in our latest one, we actually wrote about facility dogs, so you can read a bit about that. And there's also an opportunity to possibly join an EU project which would pilot a facility dog program. And you'll get to know more about the webinar series through the newsletter. That's the easiest way to stay informed. And that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Bye.
Many thanks to both presenters for great presentation. Thank you all for joining, and we are looking forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Please follow ChildHub webinar page for updates on future webinars. Thank you once again all. It's a pleasure to have you, and looking forward for the next Barnahus webinar. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.